Okay, hello. In the last video, towards the end, I was trying to store some stuff in the database, and I wanted to use an index in the database to find duplicates and prevent me from adding basically the same person to the cast twice. And when doing that, the index works, but it throws an exception. It throws an SQL error. And I was trying to work out how to handle that properly and then take some action based on when we catch that a duplicate. Don't really know how to handle exceptions in Haskell. I haven't got much experience with that, so I thought I'd spend today's episode digging into that and trying to find out how to handle exceptions and how to do it cleanly. Because I can look at the code of like how to catch an exception or try an exception or whatever, but actually just play with some code and try and get to a pattern that I think is quite nice or works quite well. So that's what I'm going to do. When I finished last week, this is just the code that was on screen at the end of last week. But essentially the important bits here, I guess, are here I'm using catch. I'm calling go, the types are wrong, but I'm going to later. It does the thing of trying to add a new person into the database. And then I've got this handle error function, which given some error will, it's not great actually, but it's given some error will try to pick out the text of it and do something with it. Otherwise it just errors if it's not a duplicate error, but otherwise if it's not an SQL error, then it just exits. So what I'd like to do actually is start another project briefly that just does this trying to insert, catching the error, and handling it in some clean way without all the noise of everything else going on around it. So what I'm going to do is not there. I prepared a window somewhere. I've lost it though here. Let's just make directory called exceptions. It's there, and I can say cabal init -n, I think, and it should do something good for me, and then I can open that code. Let's see where it puts it. It puts it there. Trust the authors because it's me. Okay. Let's see if it starts up okay. Looking good, and then we will just zoom in a bit. Maybe too much, don't know. Okay, so in my cabal file, lots of comments. Okay, I'm going to roll the comments because it'll just annoy me. That. That, and we move on Haskell 2023, 2020, can't remember what it was. I'll leave it 2010. I'm not sure I need any of the extra functionality. Save it. Okay, it gets formatted. Good. Okay, I'll also turn on errors because I don't want to make mistakes. You can still see command.hs. Oh, goodness sake. There we go. Sorry about that. All you missed was me running cabal init, opening VS Code, and starting to edit this file. Okay, I'm just getting rid of all the comments because it annoys me. Really unnecessary. Okay, so I will need a couple of other things. I'm going to need to, as well as base, I'm going to need PostgreSQL simple. And if I can just find the other window here, I could actually just grab the version of here. So I could do that. That's probably all I need. Okay, so back in my main file, I'm going to have to what I'm going to do, I'll put another function actually. I'm going to write something which connects to the database. So maybe I'll say just connection. And that's just going to return IO connection. Save that. Is it going to restart properly? Just waiting it for it to run LHS in the background, get up to speed. While I'm doing that, I'm just going to move my preview window so I can actually see what I'm streaming, so I can see when I forget to switch scenes again. It's taking a long time. Let's see what it's up to. Cabal build. Okay, it did not build, which is going to be a problem. Could not resolve it because okay, I'm going to bump the version of PostgreSQL simple. Don't know why it's different in this project, but there we go. Will it build now? Still does not build. Hang on. Can resolve dependencies. It's rejecting. Oh, maybe I shouldn't call it exceptions. I wonder if that's what the problem is. So I can put that back to the way it was. I just give it a different name because I just wondered if the name was clashing. With a library that exists. Okay, is that going to be any better? Yes, that's much happier. Okay, so problem was don't call it exceptions because there's a library called exceptions. So it was clashing with that. While it's doing its compile thing, actually I'm going to wait for this to finish because then I will know that HLS will start. But there's an awful lot to compile, it seems. I guess actually while it's building, I can go and grab the connection string stuff that I had in this file. So in main here, I have a function called connection and it does this. Okay, so in theory I can jump back to here. And do that. Has it built yet? Let's find out. No, it is still compiling. Okay, so when I've got my connection, I want to use it to connect to the database. I'm going to run a query, which again I'll copy, I guess, from the thing where I want to do an insert into the people table. So just to save a bit of time, I'm going to go and grab that from where we were working last time. And add person, want something like that. And this is the thing that's going to throw an exception. Okay, so back to here. Insert that line. And then we will say pure of nothing, so insert. It's going to take a connection. I'm just going to hard code the rest of it, I think. And it's going to return unit and then run their IO. So we'll insert into people, name is host, and now I have to find out what I put in the database already. So I can say select star from people. Yeah. So Boppy and his host is false. So this is going to be Boppy. Is it double quotes for a string that I can never remember? Might be single quotes here. I can never remember with SQL what it should be. Do you know what? I don't need to know. The library will know for me. Okay, so name is going to be Boppy, and his host is going to be false, and it's capital B. Okay, so this should throw an exception. And then I'll link them up and try stuff. I'm going to need a little bit more though, so is this compiled yet? Yes, it has. Good. Cool. I'm going to need a couple more things. I need text. I can't remember what version of text we have, so let's go and grab that out of the other project. Oh, I just said text. I didn't actually work out what it was. Okay. And as well as text, we want, oh, that should be enough, I think, actually. But I do want, I want an extension. So shared properties, these, probably not all of them. Don't need any of these. It's probably just overloaded strings, actually. Not quite what I wanted to do. There you go. Restart the SP server. Hopefully, maybe. And we know it doesn't start. There we go. Good. Okay, I can import connection. I can import this. I can import execute. I now don't have any of these arguments, so db. Okay, getting closer, I think. So it doesn't know what type Boppy is, I think. So I wonder if I can just hard code that. And here we can just put false. Hope. In fact, his host should default to something. So I should just be able to do this. Okay, so we should be able to get the connection back. I should be able to insert something and it should throw an exception. So let's see if that alone works. So we can say db is connection. And then we can say insert into the db. I could put it one line, but I won't actually. Okay, so what happens when we run it? Okay, column Boppy does not exist. So back to here, column Boppy. I think it's going to be single quotes. Try it again. Okay, that's what I want. So get an SQL error, and the message starts with duplicate key value, violates unique constraint. And the error detail is something already exists. So in theory, I can try and catch this. So what I think I can do is, I think I can say catch just. So if I can find a browser, I find this article incidentally on Twig, the three kinds of Haskell exceptions and how to use them. The three kinds in here are what he calls imprecise exceptions, so it's just error something, and you shouldn't catch them, and they're badness. You can't do much with them. Or if you do catch them, you only catch them at top level to log it, and then maybe restart something or exit. Synchronous, which is what we're doing now. So the example I gave is like disk being full or file being corrupted. And these are things you probably do want to catch and handle. And then async exceptions, I'm not going to look at all today, but they are instructions to tell another thread to exit, I think, but I'm not entirely sure. And for synchronous, the thing I'm interested in down here, he recommends using catch, and then catching a specific type of exception. But there's also something called catch just, which will help me catch the right exception. So it takes a predicate which returns just unit, I think, if oh no, sorry, we return just something, and that something gets passed into the handler. So I could say catch just and then give it a predicate which is it's going to match the type of exception I'm interested in, and maybe some extra stuff as well. So I think I can say something like catch just. It's going to take a few arguments. So we can say is duplicate. Then our function, which is insert into DB, and then our handler, which is going to be handle duplicate. That's what I think I can do. I'm just going to zoom out just a little bit. So we can import catch just from control exception, and now we need to write is duplicate. Define is duplicate. There we go. Look at that. So it's going to take some exception to maybe an SQL error. Actually, we can just do maybe unit for now, because we don't. This should only match if it's a duplicate error, and then we don't necessarily need to return the exception to dealing with it. I'm just going to say does it match, and then we'll just print something out. Exception we can import from control exception, base exception. No, control exception. Okay, that's maybe not what I wanted to catch. Oh, okay, so it's actually a type, it's a constraint. So if E is an exception, then we go from E to that. That's what I wanted. Okay. And here is duplicate. We can say of SQL error, and then whatever the arguments SQL error has. Then we will return just unit. And I can make this more complicated in minutes, but now we'll just match on the type. Whereas if duplicate of anything else is nothing. SqlError I'll need to import. So it should have 5 arguments, and I've given it not any. Oh, use record patterns. I didn't know that was a thing. Okay, that's not matching the way I thought it would do. Okay, let's go back and look at the example here. IOE get error type E. What does that do? Is that a thing? Is that a built-in thing, or is that just something that they've put as an example? No, there we go. So for each variant of IO error, that's made the wrong type of error. I don't know, because I didn't see, I don't see how it could include the SQL error because that's defined somewhere else. SQL simple data SQL error. Oh, this is not a constructor. Of course. So it's going to be no, it's a constructor. SQL error is a constructor. So some exception, but why can I not pattern match against it? I mean, if I just change this to be explicit SQL error, I don't think it's going to work. Let's see what happens. So let me define handle duplicate, and we'll just say ignore the argument coming in and say put string in there was a duplicate. And we do that. Okay, so in theory, it should get the connection, do the insert. Maybe you just catch every error and then print there was a duplicate. There was a duplicate. Okay. What if it's not, though? Do we still catch it? So instead of our SQL error, what if we just say error, it was an error. Two notation statement discarded as a result of type. What does that mean? Does error return something? I didn't think it did. Okay, so if I go and run this code, it should say there was an error rather than there was a duplicate. It does, that's cool. Okay. And then what if we do something like try and open a file that doesn't exist? Because that's another type of synchronous error you'd be expected to catch. So to open a file, which I've forgotten, but I've done lots of times before. Just open or read file. Read file should do it. Read file is in base, but I want a non-lazy version of it. I could read it with data text IO actually, because that is strict. It's good enough for me. Okay, so it's strict version, so we can say tio dot read file non-existing path, something like that. So, can we import data text IO as TIO? Yep. Okay, so this should fail, non-existing path. And it shouldn't say there was a duplicate, it should say something else. That's kind of cool. Okay, so we are currently only saying it was a duplicate if it was a duplicate. So in fact, it was an SQL error. So now a different error, pupils is, so this table doesn't exist. Now I expect this to say there was, I expect to say that, but it makes sense. I expect this to say there was a duplicate because we're not matching that very well. Okay, so now we can start to unpack this a little bit. Use name field puns, I guess. So SqlError. SQL symbol here. So we got state, exec status, error message, I think was the thing we wanted. SQL error message. Is it message or MSG? MSG. Named field puns. Ooh, what have I done there? No, I've messed up my undo. For that. And we want, is this multiple lines or is it common? I don't know. Named field puns. Looks right. Okay, and back to here and let it restart. Named field puns. Yep. Named field puns. Bit confused. Okay, cool. So SqlError. Some up here. Oh, I thought I was putting that in. Oh yes, sorry, because it's defined but not used. It's not that it can't find it. Okay. So then, what do we want to do? I think we could stick a guard in there, and we could say SQL error message. But is it prefix of? I can never remember anything these days. Prefix of is prefix of. So we can put our thing and we can say is prefix of that. Okay, so I'm going to say will not match for a second. No, I'm not going to say that at all. I want to print it out, is the thing. Because I've forgotten what the error was. I'm not going to find it in here, am I? Oh, it's not that long ago. Okay, the message says it's a different error. The message starts with duplicate key value. I can just copy this. Did that work? Yes. Okay. So if we get that, then we will return just nothing. Otherwise, we will return nothing, sorry, just unit or nothing. Is prefix of, can we get this from data? What is error message? It is a byte string. Okay, does byte string have is prefix of? No. Is byte string secretly a list? Probably not. Predicates. No, it is. Oh, I need to add it to my compile file. So down here, I can add byte string. Give it a second to finish processing. Okay, now I should be able to say byte string dot that. No. Okay. So if it starts with this value by its unique constraint, then it should return just something, or just unit actually, but just as the key thing. And then we should call handle duplicate. And that won't be the case here. So we won't handle it. So it should just cause the program to crash. That's good. Okay, we didn't grab this. But if I change this now to be people and run it again, cool, it says there's a duplicate. Okay. So now we can start to throw back some information, I guess. Let me just put an X there for a second so it doesn't match, just so I can see the error message again. So in the detail, we could just pass back the detail actually and print that out. Yeah, because it's not telling me what table really, but it's giving me some indication. So we'll pass back maybe a byte string. And here we will pass back SQL error detail. I need to match. And handle duplicate, we'll take a byte string. And we want the detail in here. And I don't know how to join this. It'll have a monad instance, right? And I've got a load of strings. So if I say there's a duplicate and then join detail onto here, it should work out. It does not work it out. I thought it would have worked out that because this is a byte string, this should also be a byte string. But maybe putStrlen won't take a byte string. So we just said print. That'll work. But then we'd also need a new line. But so in byte string, is there like a byte string IO? Putstr. So I can say bs.putstr. Just a print will try and call show on it, which maybe not what I want. Okay, so going back to here. There you go, there's a duplicate, this thing already exists. So now I have a piece of code where I can use catch. It calls this helper, which works out as a duplicate. I mean, it's a little bit wonky, right? Because it's very tightly coupled with the exact string that you get back from the database, but it seems to work. But if the message starts with this, then I wonder if this is overly specific actually, but I don't know. Anyway, if it does start with this, then we throw back the details so we can print it out. Otherwise we don't catch it, so every other exception, including things like wrong table name, will say wrong table name will just print out an error. So I paused there because I was thinking I should actually handle more types of error. So I could say something like data insert exceptions. Insert exception is going to be a duplicate exception, or it's going to be an unrecognized I might call it errors actually, because the other thing is called SqlError. Okay, so what I actually like, this is going to take a byte string. I think what I'd really like is not to take the byte string, but take an insert error. Then I can pattern match on that. So if this is a duplicate error, with some detail, then we'll do that. Whereas handle duplicate with anything else, I can just say, oops, sure, doesn't need to be a byte string, but I might want to unpack something in a second. I can just say unrecognized exception. Okay, and now it is duplicate. The types need to match up, so it's not going to return a byte string, it's going to return a insert error. And here it's going to be just duplicate error. That. Otherwise, I'm going to put unrecognized error. And we will call this whole thing, oops, what have I done? I'm going to call this whole thing E, and we will say that. Oh, it's going to be just that. I'll do that as well. Okay, so if it's a duplicate, we return duplicate error, otherwise return unrecognized error. So here we could just say something like put strlen unrecognized exception, and we will show E. Oh, of course not. We need to derive some stuff. Deriving stock show equal. I don't have deriving strategies, but I don't really need them. Okay. So back to here. Okay, so the duplicate still works. So this is duplicate isn't really going to be is duplicate. We can rename this. Can we rename it? Probably not. To not is what am I doing? It's going to be is insert error. No, I'm not allowed to rename it. Okay. Is insert error. And handle duplicate is going to be handle duplicate error. Sorry, handle insert error. Okay, and then I can write another thing. You say catch just, and then we'll say is insert error. It's not going to be insert into DB, it's going to be insert wrong table to DB, and we'll handle it again. Okay, so insert. This was insert wrong table. Okay, and then this one I'm going to rename to be insert duplicate, just to make that clearer. Okay, so now we're trying to do two different inserts and catch it, catch two different types of exception. And one should say there's a duplicate, and the other one should say unrecognized exception. Again, there we go, there's a duplicate. That got caught properly, and then the other one is unrecognized exception, and then it's just dumping out the whole data type. Okay. I think what I could then start to do is differentiate between errors I can handle in the code, like errors that you expect to come up. So you know, a duplicate when inserting a new cast member means that they would exist and we can handle that thing, whereas this unrecognized error, I probably wouldn't actually handle it like this, but that's a coding bug, right? If the table name is wrong here, for example, then there's nothing I can do about that in the code. There's no nice way of handling it. It means my code is broken. Okay, before I move on, there are another couple of forms I could use for this. I don't know if it's any better or not. So you can say try just, and I don't know what that looks like, so I'm going to go look it up. But it essentially you get something back, I think. So it'll be something like this, and then you can say it's going to be either type, I think. So you can say something like case E of, and then if it's just SQL error, but it's probably going to, because it's try just and not try, it's probably going to be an insert error we get back, and so on. So I think that's what try just looks like and try looks like, but I'm going to go look it up and see. Google. So it was try just. Look at try first. So try is similar to catch but returns an either. Which returns left or right. Okay. And try just will take something and be either left B, so as an error you get a B back, otherwise you get the result. I don't really want try, I don't think, in this case, because I don't really want the result. So when I call insert, there's nothing I'm getting back that I particularly want. So I guess catch makes sense to me because in fact, does catch return anything? Yeah, it returns the A. Okay. So here, if insert duplicate returned anything, I'd get it here. So like the result would be this. But I'm not returning anything. So this is actually then returning unit, which I'm not dealing with because we don't care. So for try, it would be the same thing. It would be is insert error. And same thing here, I guess, insert duplicate into the DB, and then handle. No, it's not. Okay, we don't write the handler there. Is that right? That's catch to try. Yeah, there's no handler in the try case. Okay. So we say we try it, and it's not just in this case. So if E is left error, then we want to do something with it. So we will, oh wait, it's not, this isn't making life any better, but I'm reusing the code I wrote before. So we get an error, then we call handle and set error on it. Let me import try just. It's there. Whereas if we get right, it's actually going to be unit in this case because that's what insert duplicate returns. And then we can just do something like put strlen insert was okay. So if we had our very strict is duplicate error, this might make some sense. So you could say is duplicate error, and then here you could put a one-liner of printing out there was a duplicate. Because it's a bit more complicated, I'm end up calling a function anyway, which is probably no better than the catch case. But let me make it a bit more specific. So I'm going to rewrite is duplicate error, which is going to go from SqlError to maybe unit in this case. So it is duplicate error given some I'm just going to reuse this. So given some error E, I'm going to say is insert error E. I'm going to reduce it yet. So I can say case that of duplicate error. We don't care what comes with it. And we'll say just unit. And the other case, Oh, sorry, this is just duplicate error. Okay, anything else we'll ignore. Okay, the reason for writing that is so that I can now say is duplicate error. And then we won't call this stuff. So left, we also get unit back because I've now told it the result of is duplicate error is IO of unit. So if we get an error, we could say put strlen there was a duplicate. Now I've chucked away the detail of the duplicate, but that's okay, I think. Okay, so rather than passing in the handler like we do with catch, with try case, we get some result back, which is an either type, and then we just do something with it. Okay. Time for one more thing. This is other form. So using catch, and this is going to be the similar idea for try, but catch, and then we will run our function, which is insert duplicate db, and then we're going to have some handle. Let me just use handle insert error. I can't use insert error. Okay, I'm going to say handle SqlError, which doesn't exist yet. I'll go and write that. Where did he put it? Down here. Okay. So given some SqlError, here I would do my duplicate checking, I think. So not E, but SqlError, and then SqlError message. We're just basically going to do this thing I did before with matching the string. So here we can say if it's a duplicate, say put strlen it was a duplicate. Otherwise, what do I do with it? I guess we rethrow it. Okay, so in the catch here, try and do the insert. If it doesn't work, we handle any SQL error. And here we're saying do duplicate checking at this point. Otherwise, throw it. Now, I like this a little bit less because it's doing the predicate here, the matching of is this an error I'm interested in, alongside the behavior what to do if it matches. And then we also need this other case where if we don't match it, we need to explicitly rethrow it. Whereas previously, in things like the try, but also in the handle insert error, we've split it into two. We've got this predicate basically. So is duplicate error or is insert error, and that's separate from the way we handle it, which will only be run if it's an error we're interested in. So you can write catch, but catch just looks better to me. It looks more like what I want. Okay. Incidentally, well, I'm just going to run it. So there's duplicate. This is the handler. Oops. This is the handler that runs here. So it's handle insert error. Then we got the handle SqlError, where I printed out it was a duplicate. That slight difference is actually quite useful here. Then we got the try case, where I'm printing out there was duplicate but with no detail. This is what's showing up here. And then finally, we got the unrecognized thing, so it's a different type of error. Okay. I think of all of these forms, I quite like the try if it's short. If the thing we need to do is quite short. And then if we need to do something more involved, I probably like the catch rather than saying try and then call some function here. Okay. So jumping back to here. Oops, oh, it's in here somewhere. Don't know where my error's gone. Where was all my catch stuff? Not in here. It was here, it was in the command. Okay. Right, so when I'm trying to add the hosts, that's where I had my error handling. So I don't think I want the generic catch. I think that's probably the wrong thing. What am I going to do if it is a duplicate? Then I'm just printing something out. So I'm a bit tempted to inline that. Which means I think that try would be the best fit for this. So I could say something like result is from try just, then we'll say is duplicate, and then our go, guess it's called go at that point. And then we should be able to say case result of, and then left, oops, I guess just unit, and then I'll say this stuff. So I can say if there's an error, then we'll print it out. Right, like if it was a duplicate, then we'll print out what like a helpful message. Otherwise, if we did successfully insert, then we don't do anything. Okay, some stuff is going on here. So try just, I need to import. I think we need to lift this into IO. Duplicate error, we need to define. Handler we can get rid of in a second, but I actually want to copy a little bit of this so we can say it's going to take an SQL error. And here we can say SQL error, and we'll use name and field puns. So we'll say SQL error message. And after matching it, I think I might use the guard again, because the guard thought worked quite nicely for this. So we can say duplicate error. So the string used before was longer, but what did it start with? Duplicate error? No, it's duplicate key. Violates this. In fact, I just want this. Start pulling up. So try it again. Duplicate. So if we get that, then we return. Otherwise, we're just going to return nothing. So we're not going to match it. Okay. Now I can delete handle error because I don't need this code anymore. We haven't imported byte string by the looks of it. No. Okay, let me just get rid of all these unused problems. So I want to import byte string. Okay. Now Go needs to have the type of not quite. Okay. It's going to be appm. It's going to be that. But try expect something that's got the type IO. So even though M here implements monad.io, that's not good enough for try. Lift IO again. No, it's not. I don't want to lift IO though, because I actually want to lift into the connection. That's a bit tricky. Let me do this instead. So we'll get storage out first. Then we don't need to lift IO anymore because we're in IO. But this is going to be, it's going to be connection. So there, I think. Oops, I can just call it S at this point. Okay, get a bit closer. Right, so we get the storage. I'm just going to rename this to be DB, and here I'm also going to rename it to DB. Okay, bit going on here. So we get the connection back out of this thing. We try running Go, which is doing the insert. So actually, I can just inline this now. I don't need it to be its own function. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to put this over a couple of lines. So we lift into I/O. We run try just under I/O. We say checks duplicate error. So that's going to check for the duplicate key thingy. And then we will run add host. Okay. Now we're almost there. So I couldn't much type I/O. So this is again have to lift I/O. T.pack not in scope. Do I need that? I do not need that. So I don't need to do either. Okay. So the line was up. No, okay, does not. Okay then, so we're going to get the storage back. Try and do the insert. If the insert returns a duplicate, then we say it's already in use. Otherwise, we'll just let the default error handling run. Okay. So I wonder what command I was running then. I'll run, whoops, this one, participants add Boppy. This is the one I want to say it's a duplicate. And it does not. So it's still checking out the SqlError, but I can't really remember where I left it before. Am I calling this? Oh, only from hosts. Okay, so I had a host called Boppy. It says Boppy's in the cast. Cool. So we do catch exception properly. Okay, all of that. Not a huge fan of this kind of nested code. The lift I/O is a bit annoying as well. I mean, I could stick this on one line, but it's just making the line a bit long. Could put it all on one line. Okay. This thing's a bit annoying. I kind of want to, if it's left, then we run something. Otherwise, we don't do anything, but I don't know, it's fine. The more explicit pattern matching is probably the right thing to do here. It just looks a bit weird that you got left unit and then right unit. But anyway. Cool, so I am now using the database constraint to check if someone's previously been added, and that should work for participants as well. I just need to work out how to reuse bits of this code. Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of cool. I guess I've learned quite a lot about handling synchronous exceptions in Haskell. I shall leave it there, I guess, and then come back next week and then start using this approach to fill in more of my SQL commands. But yeah, I shall leave it there. Thank you for watching along. I hope you also learned some stuff about exceptions in Haskell, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.